What's up, guys? Team Curry Bandit back with another deck profile. We're here with Brent. What's your name? Well, what did you play and how'd you do?
Yeah, so I played Zombie like last time. Some of you guys might remember me from the channel. I told you I'd be back. No, well, we're back.
Yeah, we just had the camera shut off, so we're having to redo this.
Yeah,
so this is extra.
This is take 2.
Awkward.
We're just running back through all of it.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna jump right in.
Yeah.
In the case.
Let's go clean through it, bro.
Hopefully we can get through this before it shuts off. So we have Eldlich the Golden Lord at 2. 3 is incorrect. It's just too many. You'll see 2 in your hand all the time. That's bad. 1 is not enough. You can't go into Gustav without 2 moving on.
Yeah, fair.
This card carries. Doom King Ballardrock. He says that if Zombie World's on the field, well, he doesn't say that, but Zombie World does. It makes everything a zombie. His effect activates in response to zombie effects, and his effect says that once per turn he can negate a monster effect from a zombie or banish a monster when a zombie activates its effect. So he's like a 2-for-1 on a big body. He comes back if there's a field spell on the field. Like I said, if it's Zombie World, he just pops off.
Masterpiece, what?
Yeah, he's like honestly worse than Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, I think. And he's never gonna get hit. Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows about him.
Jack of all ones, boss monster number 3. During your opponent's main phase, he can banish himself to target something in your opponent's graveyard and then special summon it to your field. And then when that card leaves the field, it's banished instead of going to the graveyard. So they are not getting that crap back. And your Jack of all, and he just comes back at the end phase. So you can do this to your opponent over and over and over again and just ruin their follow-up plays.
Yeah.
He's good. Also, he can special summon himself by pitching a zombie, and that's really cool sometimes. Necroworld Banshee, like you said, some people have been playing this at 3. I think that's entirely incorrect, because if you see 3 of this card in your hand, you lose automatically.
Yeah.
Like, there is no playing out of it. It's just scoop and go.
Yeah.
If I run 2 instead of 1, because a lot of times you will need access to the second Zombie World, and if you're fortunate enough to open up the field spell with this card, she's basically field barrier. So really broken. Moving on, we have the Shiranui Solitaire package for this deck. Basically how this guy works is he tributes off the field, so he does function under skill drain if you want to play that in your Eldlich deck, zombie, whatever.
Yeah.
So he takes himself off the field. Since he's off the field when he resolves, he's also Gamma Bait, which is also very good.
Yeah.
And if people know you're on Gamma, they will not ash this.
No.
They're just too afraid because they're like, well, then he's going to go into Chaos Ruler and end my life.
Yeah. Everything's resolving in this deck.
Pretty much. Unizombie is really awesome for obvious reasons. We play him at 1 because we just need him to resolve like once. We don't even need the full effect. Like we can just resolve, send from the deck, and that's pretty much game after that if he gets off.
Yeah.
Generates a lot of advantage. Glow Up Bloom is awesome. Awesome to pitch with this card.
Yeah.
That's the primary reason it's still in the deck. That and it has a lot of synergy with Avendred Savior, and it is a starter because you can link it off for Link Karibo. This deck also has a lot of starters too, technically, because a lot of the elixirs are considered starters. Solitaire is a starter. The Mizuki Gozuki package I'm about to show you is technically a starter.
Lots of recursion.
Yeah. So these guys, you guys are going to talk crap about me in the comments, I know I told you guys that these are bad cards, they're not good, but surprise, surprise, they're good cards. You can pitch this off of a Unizombie summoned by Shiranui Solitaire to increase Unizombie's level by 1, and then you can banish this to special summon the Solitaire and go into a free Synchro 8 if you don't need to use Unizombie to initiate your boss monster plays. If you are able to start the game with Solitaire and like Necroworld Banshee in hand, you can tribute this Unizombie, send Gozuki from the deck to the graveyard with Uni's effect, and then use this card's effect to banish Solitaire to special the Necroworld Banshee from your hand, and then go into your Synchro 8 plus Zombie World. And the crazy thing about this card, he doesn't leave the graveyard, and he can do this once per turn. He just chills and does stuff.
Yeah.
crazy.
Graveyard effects go burr.
Yeah, especially ones where they just chill there. I've never seen a card like that.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to come back out, guys. Boom. Only hand trap package. Bet that blows your freaking mind. Hand traps are unnecessary in this deck.
Ash is like debatably like the only other hand trap you really favor in this deck.
Of course, and we do side it specifically for the Adamancipator matchup, just because other hand traps don't really stop that deck. But Ash is just like, no excavate for you, dog. You're done.
It's very simple.
This helps me force my plays through. Free Synchro 8, not a lot to say. If you've banished all of your level 8s, you can always go into Nightmare Phoenix. Or Nightmare Cerberus, either one, take your pick.
That's a good old school play with that card. When the links came out.
School Yu-Gi-Oh card play. So I'm gonna go into spells now. That's all the monsters. I think there's like maybe somewhere around 17, something like that. We play a really low monster count actually. So this can really help you get rolling. So I play this over Prosperity for a couple of reasons. I don't play the Synchro variant, so I don't really need to be careful about what I banish. I've just got 2 level 8 Synchros in my extra deck, and that's it. If they get banished, whatever. I don't really care. Being able to draw 2 cards off of this guy is way better than excavating 6 and then adding 1 to the hand or drawing it or whatever the hell it is. Because sometimes you really just need to see extra cards in the hand, because hand economy is really rough in zombies. You're constantly discarding stuff and throwing it to the graveyard. Man, starting with 7 or 8 cards is just the tops. Or I guess 5 or 7 technically, because you have to send that to the graveyard. Moving on.
Especially going
hard.
Second.
Math is hard.
Math is hard.
So this is a starter for the deck. Some would say this is the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the best spell card searcher. It's alright. It's pretty good, man. So I'm actually alright with this going down to 2 if people could keep complaining about Eldlich. I don't know why they are, but that's another story for another time. Because sometimes you will see like 2 of these in your opening hand, and you're kind of just like, oh, what do I do with this? But nonetheless, it is a good starter, and as long as I'm able to run it at 3, I'm going to run it at 3. I'm willing to see 2.
Yeah.
Moving on.
That's fair.
Zombie World? Add 2. I find 3 to be really unnecessary. The only time I have ever needed 3 is when I kept activating them into Herald of Perfection, not realizing he could just keep negating them. So that's the only time it's come up. So I'm like, as long as I'm not stupid, I should only need 2.
You're running the 2 Banshees, so you're already running like 4 copies of that card.
Yeah. The ratio is certainly correct. And some people might wonder why I don't run Terraforming, and that's because the 2 Necroworld Banshees are enough search for this field spell. Because, I mean, you can get them off of any elixir, basically. And also because Necroworld Banshee's a lot easier to get to than Terraforming in this deck, obviously because of what I just said. I mean, Terraforming is just a one-of random spell card. So, Black Awakening. So check this out. It's a pretty good starter. I like it because it'll put a body on the field in defense position. So it's like if you've already done your Eldlich play and you have this in hand still, you can just be like, okay, activate, get Baller Drock out. Okay, now we're good to go. This is kind of how you either start or finish your opening turn if you get to go first at least, and it's in your hand. Good card. Don't run it at 3. It's really bricky, but it is good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna get these out like together because everybody always flips when they see these. Okay. So this is a good card in pure zombies because I mean if Eldlich is on the field and you've got the brick that is Baller Drock in your hand, you just special summon them out from your hand. You're good to go. I mean because, and I should touch on this, Baller Drock is a huge brick in the hand. Huge brick. So running this is almost necessary, and we run it at 1 because it's searchable. This is a fusion card.
Searchable.
Yes, it is searchable off of an elixir in the graveyard. So basically what this guy does is you can use zombies either in your hand or on the field as fusion material, and then you can go into a monster off of that. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't want you to go into Mad Lord. You can just go into Drago Necro if you want to.
Yeah.
So it gives you a lot of options, and when you summon, or I believe it is special summon a zombie, yeah, just special summoned, it doesn't even have to be fusion summoned, you can target one of their back row and just be like, okay, that can't activate the rest of the turn, and you either chain that back row right now or you're locked out.
Trickstar Light Stage.
Yeah, so it really just forces out a lot of plays. I can't tell you how many times I've activated this and like the game ends and I find out like I locked them out of Torrential or Solemn or something.
Yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, Trickstar players, play this deck.
Play this deck, it's better. The last two spell cards are just staples. Called by the Grave and Foolish Burial.
Yeah.
This is just kind of like having Gamma in hand, but better. Because there's no bricks or anything like that involved. There's no conditions, yada yada. Also, if you set this, you can really mess with some people's plays. Because, like, basically, if you set this and then the Dragon Link player goes second, like, okay, you can play now, and they do their Striker Dragon play, and then Striker goes to the graveyard, you can just call by this, and then that's kind of a big deal, because I believe they don't get their Boot Sector ad. And then they're also locked out of going into more Striker Dragons, which you sometimes need to do to finish the combo.
Yeah, so they can get back Recharger.
Yeah, so that's actually a really big deal, and if this card ever comes back to 3, I'll be running 3.
Oh, I know everybody will be running through that card.
Yes, please.
Either one of these cards hit through. Everybody will be playing through.
So, I mean, it's one sentence.
Yeah.
You could probably zoom in and just read it, honestly.
Boom.
Yeah, there
Easy.
you go. Done.
Simple. It's at 1.
At 1 for a reason.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go into the traps. And the traps really aren't that crazy, to be totally honest with you. It's just 3 Sanguine, obvious. This is a starter no matter what variant of Eldlich you're playing.
Yeah.
3 Conquistador. That's like, there's no such thing as a 2 Conquistador deck. I've never heard of it, at
I've
least.
never heard of it either.
3 Huaquero might raise some eyebrows. I just think this is correct to be at 3 instead of 2 because the effect isn't bad. It is a body. It can let you go into Pleiades, and when you run all the elixirs like I do, you want to be able to search stuff. Like when you get to that point in the grind game where you like go to banish something and you're like, oh, I can't search crap. You want to avoid that.
Yeah. All these cards are like any copies of like a zombie card in your deck. So I mean, it's like pretty reasonable playing the 3rd copy of that card, especially since it's the better out of the other Eldlich traps.
And we're about to talk about one of the extra deck monsters that actually makes those cards freaking broken, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a second. These are my fusion monsters that I run with the Eldlich package. 2 Mad Golden Lord. He's like kind of like Spirit Reaper, except like he can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and obviously if you target him with anything, he's not going away. He's also mind control on legs if you have a zombie to sack, which you contribute your traps off because they're treated as normal zombies. You contribute some of your leftover combo pieces like Unizombie. There's really just no end of usefulness to this card. Worst case scenario, if you know they don't have an out to this and you're winning, you can just sit up on this in defense position and be like, all right, idiot, have fun losing in time.
This guy got so rich he bought a freaking Galaxy.
And then he ate it and it still didn't make him happy. So this is the other fusion card. You use this guy, you just slam him into other monsters, and then he can't destroy the monsters, but he does reduce their attack down to 0, and then he creates a token that has their same level as a normal monster, and it has the attack value of that card. So if it's an attack position, you just swing the token into it for like max damage.
Yeah.
And then you got a leftover body for main phase 2. If you just want to ooga booga and leave it on the field to be threatening, you can do that. Not much else to say about him. Also, he's not a zombie, interestingly enough. He is a dragon, but with Zombie World on the field, you actually can pull this guy out of the graveyard.
Yeah.
So interesting things to note. Also, this guy is Eldlich in the grave. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Eldlich on the field and the grave. So if you sanguine with an empty board, you can grab this guy from the GY.
Yeah, dude.
And then it's just like, oh, well. So I talked about the synchros earlier. These are the two that I choose to run. I run two because I run X Drive, and I would like to have one available if I want to use it. I have two ways into these in my deck, Unizombie plays and Gamma. If I have a really good hand and I get in a position where I can make one of these happen, I'll go for Omega just to rip the card. Unless I'm going second, and then I'll always go into Ruler.
Yeah.
But Ruler is just kind of a way to fix a crappy hand because it'll let you dump a bunch of zombies, which all, for the most part, have graveyard effects. It'll let you dump spell traps, which all have graveyard effects.
Those hands you open double Gamma, double Banshee, you know.
Yeah. And then the other cool thing about this guy is he's pretty recurable in this deck. So, like, if you want to go for game, you can just be like, banish the light in the dark. Yeah. All right, time to die.
Yep.
This guy is also cool because of his graveyard effect. It just has a lot of synergy in zombie variants. If you're running low on monsters in your main deck, you can just put them back.
Yeah.
And then there is the possibility you can go into him a second time.
Yeah.
It probably won't happen, but you can try.
Yeah. True.
All right, this is the Becks best Exceeds monster I've ever played.
This card is pretty good.
I played this card back in Cyber Dragon in like the early 2010 era or whatever, like way back when. I play this card now. This card is awesome.
Yeah. Bounces extra deck monsters.
Yeah, and it's non-targeting.
Yeah.
So that Dragoon you got over there, see you later, nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy card. You make this off of your traps, which is another good reason I like to play this card. Because when you activate this card's effect, it still has the traps underneath it. You have to detach for cost, so you get one trap in the grave.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, they have to negate this. If they don't, they're going to lose. So then they negate and destroy it, and it's like, thanks for putting that other trap card in my graveyard.
Also, forget about what he said about the Dragoon part. It does target. Oops.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it does target.
Oh.
Sad.
Balls! Well, he's still there then. Honestly, and I feel like I need to touch on that a little bit just because Dragoon's such like a prominent piece of the meta right now, at least in some locals, just because it's like, Dragoon monkey flip.
Yeah.
If you are wondering, this is how I deal with Dragoon. Basically, like, we try to activate this guy's effect.
See that little bit of text right there?
Yeah, just banish. Yeah.
It'll focus slightly. Yeah.
All the PK fire players, it's just like, get that out of here.
Yeah.
Because I swear it seems like they all go into that play.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why.
I mean, it's kind of good, I guess.
I guess.
Whatever. Oh boy, I'm tired. All right, Nightmare package.
Easy.
So Cerberus, easy enough. You just use this to pop stuff when it's not in the main monster zone. You'd be amazed how many people just don't summon Zeus to the extra monster zone. They forget this card does stuff.
Yeah.
Phoenix is good because you like to pop back row sometimes. It's like one time I summoned Gamma, but I didn't have any level 8s to go into, so I just made this and popped a back row because it's the next best thing.
Yeah.
The discard's sweet too, because I mean, man, like you
Pitch Golden
love
Lord?
to discard.
Yeah. Pitch Golden Lord?
Yeah, pitch Golden Lord for cost.
Yeah.
Well, have a nice format.
Yeah, I have a nice format.
This is the other Exceeds monster I run. This is like the main reason I run 2 Eldlich, because like if you catch people asleep at the wheel, you can just go into this in main phase 2 and win. Like, it's really that simple. If you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, like the phrase "save or die" comes to mind. So another cool thing is this is a level 10 card.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have Eldlich on field and sent it for Golden Land, you can make the gun with regular Eldlich and then big Eldlich. Link Karibo. This exists to link off for Bloom.
Yeah.
Not much else to say. Honestly, like, I don't know how I feel about this card. We'll see. Moving on. And then I consider this like a package. Just
You already know about this card. This
Yeah.
card's pretty dumb too.
So this card, like anytime a zombie is special summoned from the graveyard to the field, you draw a card. So if you put Baller Drock in the grave and then throw Zombie World on field and then make this, then you get to draw one, and it's weird. Like typically in games 2 and 3, I'll side a bunch of hand traps in, and they're based on what I'm facing. So, like, if you run a bunch of hand traps, this draw can be a really big deal. You can draw into a hand trap, and that's another interact. This card, not much to say about it. I think you guys probably know about it. I talked about it a lot in the last video. I talked about it a little bit already in this video. Everybody gangster until a Vendread Savior send Eldlich to reduce your attack by, like, what is it, 2,000?
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. People are just like, oh! Okay. So that's the entire main deck. We'll get into the side deck really quick.
Yeah, nice Dragoon, buddy.
Yeah, who needs one of those? Lame card.
Yeah.
I play 2 Nibiru in the side. Sometimes I side these in for combos, sometimes I don't. This is like honestly the worst answer to combo in the meta right now, I think. Like if this is all you have to answer combo, alright, so be it. But like if you have any other options like Droll and Lockbird, Dark Ruler no more, they are so much more impactful. This does not stop shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just like really personal feelings about that card. Dark Ruler no more at 3.
This actually does something.
Yeah, so the way that the meta is currently evolving with all these crazy combo boards, like putting up 900 negates and like, oh, you Nibiru'd me? That's cool. I'm going to keep going now. This card just says, yeah, I don't care about any of that. And the only real answer in the meta to this is chain something else to it that isn't a monster and then chain Hot Red.
Yeah.
And that's like it. Otherwise, there are no existing answers to this for the most part. Other than, I guess, Solemn Judgment, but who runs that?
Yeah, true.
Imperm at 3. Sometimes the targeted negate is a lot better. This card has a lot of potential going first, too, because sometimes people are stupid and just don't remember that it has a second effect.
Yeah, they're just kind of like...
Yeah, they go, the deer servant in the middle row, and I'm like, you can't do that, bro. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, because I impermed it. And they're like, oh, so I get the card back to my hand? I'm like, no, you just used it. Have nice format.
Bodied.
I don't see it as much anymore, but this is also really good for the bird up matchup.
Yeah.
Because if you imperm any of their monsters, it's just like, okay, bye.
Very underrated card, guys.
Yeah.
Recommend it.
This
highly.
also stops Admancipator in their tracks, kind of like Ash does. It's just like, oh, you wanted to excavate and special summon? About that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very good card.
So this is the spice. I love talking about this card.
Oh my gosh, what is this?
So
I think the last time I saw this was Zoo format.
Yep. So so the most important thing you need to know about this card is you can search Max C off of its final effect.
Oh yeah.
Secondarily, just as a super minor thing, anytime your opponent uses a fusion card, basically, you can special this to the field, and then instead of the monsters going to the GY, they get banished instead. So when you go up against Shuttle, if you activate this, like they
Nice
just
Shuttle
lose.
effects.
Yeah, it is loose because like Alistair can't go to the graveyard to use the invocation effect, so he stays banished, and so does the other monster. Or the other monster is banished, anyways.
Yep.
Shuttle monsters, like you said, they get really sad when they see this. And I can't really think of any other cards that this impacts, but this is just what we side in for the Shuttle matchup. Lance, everybody should know about this card by now. There are some people that main deck this stuff, and they're kind of right to. I mean, you got to do something about the Dragon Link and
It's still
Dinosaur
conflicting with
matchup.
this deck in particular.
Yeah, I cite it because it does. Well, it's weird because it conflicts and it helps in some ways. I mean, if you get really desperate, you can set it and then use it for Eldlich food. It will protect you from like the crazy dinosaur plays and stuff like that. The only bad thing is it's like it won't let you banish your stuff, and you like to do that.
Yeah, that's why we have it in the side for going second.
Yep. So this is kind of weird. I run 2 Droll.
Yeah. I've been also playing 2 of this.
Yeah, to me, it's just kind of another one of those suitable replacements for Nibiru. It's like, if I drop this on a combo deck, like, their turn just kind of stops most of the time.
Yeah.
I will say that there are some combo decks that, like, are exceptional to this rule, and that is Admancipator does not care about this card.
Yeah.
Infernoble kind of sort of doesn't care about this card because a lot of their plays happen on the field. You just got to know your matchup.
Yeah. This card destroys Invoke. Should all, though.
Oh, yeah. And then we side 2 of these. I don't...
Interesting.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the crappier hand traps in the format, honestly. It gatekeeps bad decks worse than it stops good decks. The only good deck that this stops is Invoked, and they're probably going to have Alistair in hand anyway.
Or Invoked.
Yeah.
Invocation.
Yeah, or all 3. They've probably got all 3 if they're a good Invoke player. This also stops Admancipator, and I know you guys are like, why does he keep talking about this? And that's just because we see a lot of Admancipator in our locals formats, and it just stops them. Yeah, I wonder who that is. But that's it. I'm your boy Brent, and I be signing off.
All right. Any shout-outs?
Shout-outs to Team Curry Bandit and all of my boys for riding out to the other locals to raffle stomp those dudes.
You see the glue and the Cookie Monster there?
That's what we're about, that glue life.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back for more locals deck profiles and more matches.
I'll see y'all again.
See ya.